episode 55, and it's
Thanks.
been ages since we've done one of these because there's really not been that much to report.
It's been a while since the game's been out, hasn't it?
Shut up. Christ's sake, see what I have to work with. It's a fine line between entertaining and day release, and this is my friend Patrick.
Have you met my wife? She has the same thing.
Really?
Yeah. That's why we can't have children yet.
This is a rough start to the episode.
I don't care. People know.
Yeah,
Hi, everyone.
that comes across in the previous 54 episodes. Anyway, shush your dirty mouth.
Aww.
Before I kiss you. Yeah, we had a load of Dark Souls 3 information and videos and articles and stuff that went up yesterday and today, and are going to continue for the rest of the week. So we thought we'd have a natter, but we also thought we'd pull in a couple of friends of ours, a couple of milky scorpions from our Destiny runs and stuff, but both of which are playing Souls to different degrees and different degrees of fandom. So I introduce Mr. Peter Cleaves.
Good evening.
Hello.
Barca.
Well played, sir. That's a way to get on my saucy Souls side. And
for those of you not in the know, Peter Cleaves is our mate who works at Sony.
He can just be our friend. It doesn't matter where people work. Oh, hello, I'm Barry. Would you like to borrow my gamepad? I've got a spare one. Oh, it's lovely, Barry. Where do you work? Greg's. Fuck off. Also, Mr. Gavin Russell.
Yes, indeed.
Who is our friend who works at You Died blog.
I don't get paid anything though. Yeah.
No, but you do put some work into it, along with your Gavin wife, Gavin Weir.
My brother from a very different mother. Yes.
So we will go to Mr. Russell first, then, seeing as we're here. Who are you? Where does your groove lie? And how did you find your way into Souls, sir?
Well, I was an OG. I played Demon Souls about 2 weeks after it released, but I hated it, and I didn't come back to it for years. My brother bought it, borrowed it off him, because it was that game that everyone was done talking about. So I think I got to, Bolletarian, is it Palace? It is Palace, isn't it? Yeah. You go up through like the scaffolding in like the back rooms, and then you come out onto the main sort of like the ramparts bit. And you've got the Blue-Eyed Knight, and you've got all the like the trebuchets and stuff. Met up with the Blue-Eyed Knight, tried to kill him about 4 or 5 times. Just thought, what am I even doing? Had no idea what I was doing. Couldn't do it, so I binned it off. And then that was it really. And then when Dark Souls came out, that kind of passed me by because I thought, no, that's not for me. It's the same as Demon Souls. But then just before Dark Souls 2 was due to come out, and all like the release hype was building, I started to watch a couple of challenge runs where people were completing it under ridiculous, circumstances, like no shield, no armor, that sort of thing. And it sort of made me think, well, if you can do it like that, it's surely not impossible. If someone can do it wearing no armor or just punching their way through the bosses, then surely it's possible. So I thought, I'm going to give this another go, and it just clicked, and that was it. Played Dark Souls 1 through to completion, ready in time for Dark Souls 2, onto Bloodborne, backtrack to Demon Souls. Pretty much play at least one of the Souls games at least once a week since then.
I had no idea you were in on the ground floor with Demons, to be honest. I kind of presumed that you jumped in with Dark. No,
yeah, I did. Well, I tried, like I say, I just tried it because of all the buzz around it, and it was like the hardest game ever. I just thought I'm going to have to give that a go, but I just couldn't do it. Just could not get on with it, and so just sacked it off for years.
That's exactly the reason why I rented it for the first time, and I did the same thing. I sacked it off. I was like, yeah. I got to about, I would say I probably got to the same point.
Yeah. That
blue-eyed bastard on the bridge. It's like, nah, not for me.
Yeah.
Let's send it back and play something easy like Hannah Montana.
but what at that point? I'll put this to Paddy and to Gav. What was your kind of what was your game? What was your idea of sort of gaming perfection at that point? As like a contrast towards Demon Souls and what potentially you might have been putting your head against it.
Was it 2006? No.
Yeah.
No, it can't be 2006.
2009, maybe?
Yeah, 2009, yeah. 2009. I'm just trying to think. I mean...
I like Metal Gear Solid. I mean...
Do you? You never mentioned it.
I know, right? Too much.
2009.
It may have been Metal Gear 4 times. I don't know. Maybe. What the hell was I playing back then? Jeez. Video games.
I know for certain back then I was probably a lot more, I wouldn't say casual, but less...
Casual.
What are you, casual?
I was probably just playing all like the big release. I think 2009 you had Assassin's Creed 2.
Oblivion as well was...
Left 4 Dead 2.
Still big.
Modern Warfare 2. All the 2s. Uncharted 2. You know, just like the big releases. I didn't really investigate stuff further past that. I'd play these games, you know, every night, all the time, but didn't really sort of crack the surface of other stuff. So Demons to me felt just bewildering, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just had no idea what it was supposed to be, whether I was supposed to be enjoying myself. And
I'd agree with that. I think I'd be in the same place. I played a lot of not what I was told to, but a lot of what was kind of like, hey, look, it's this big thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You like this, right? Sure, video game internet. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Plus, Laura worked at Game at the time, so I was getting games a bit cheaper, which was amazing.
Corruption.
So
She got her job, and the first thing I said to her was, I am so happy for me.
So what led you to these challenge runs then that you started watching?
I can't remember. I know what it was. It was around this time that Matt Lees, when he worked at Video Gamer, started doing the Pants Man run.
Yeah, I was on that.
Yeah.
I was on that stream.
Yeah, he started doing that
in the comments.
And that led me to other challenge runs. People like Lobos and Peeve, not Peeve so much for challenge runs, but you know, there's sort of the Twitch streamers and the YouTubers who would just perform ridiculous feats playing what I had come to think of as a game that was literally impossible and miserable to play, and almost like there was a sadism involved in playing it. But seeing people who were just having a laugh and doing it almost like blindfolded, it kind of opened my eyes to think, oh, there's far more to that than just something that is like a war of attrition.
Did you then sort of pick it up cheaply and sort of risk on it,
yeah.
sort of second hand, or did you like pitch straight in full price?
At the time, it was £5 on Xbox Live.
Full play.
So that was it. It was like, oh, well, I'll just give that a go, and that was it.
I think there was a certain point where a lot of big video game websites started had like a fallow period, and they were like, well, let's try Dark Souls then, the hardest game ever. And that, I think that inadvertently led to a few people sort of picking it up. Plus the conversation was always going on with somebody, seemingly, through a group of friends at Dark Souls, with folks that bounced off it, or folks that have been led to like certain videos, and there was a constant crackle between people with at least one person sort of talking about it and trying to get other people into it. So it was a huge degree of word of mouth from there. But
and that's what I found as soon as I started to play it myself and inevitably get stuck and have to Google things or have to mention things to other people. I found that there was, well, as everybody knows by now, really, the community around it, for better or worse, is enormous and full of, you know, the sort of dedication that is unparalleled, really, with some games. So that's, like you say, the conversation that was buzzing around it, which I had no idea it was happening. I just thought of these games as like little curios that only the hardcore played for bragging rights, and that was the end of it. But yeah, after, you know, you started to get into like ENB's like boss tutorials and boss challenges just to try and work out how to defeat certain bosses. It sort of made me realise that there's so much more to it, and just a massive community of people that are either helping each other out or sharing knowledge, and yeah, it sort of really opened my eyes, really.
Seems to me that a lot of people, like myself, and I know a few other people, kind of start playing it almost as a joke. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, this is really hard. Let's fail really hard. Because I was doing videos at the time, and it's like, yeah, let's play this and be really bad at it. And then it's like, actually, wait, this is actually fun. And then the rest wrote itself. The rest is well documented.
Because back then was when I first met you on Polygon forums, and you started playing Demon Souls. It wasn't really a kind of, oh, let's fail at this.
No, Sean lent it to me for a laugh. He went, this is really hard. Enjoy, haha. That was literally the conversation. Enjoy, haha. And initially I was like, oh god, this is awful. Yeah, he's done this to spite me. And then I got it, and then I clicked, and like I say, then we started chatting on the interweb, and we recorded a podcast, and the rest, you can probably listen to the rest. If you've been listening this far, you probably know the rest.
So I'll bring Pete
Enough
in
about
at this
me.
point. Shush now. I'll bring Pete in at this point. Pete, how did master of ceremonies, politician,
fucking-
like quiet at the back.
Back in
Down,
your box.
buddy. In your basket.
Mr.
Movie
Cleves.
box.
Mr. Cleves, how did you find your way towards the world of Souls and Bloodborne and the such like?
So kind of a similar story to you guys. I'd actually go so far to say that I'd obviously heard of Demons and Dark Souls, but I'd actually go so far to say that I was probably quite like anti-Souls at the time. I was kind of like, I just heard through the grapevine, oh, it's really hard, it's really punishing. You lose your progression if you lose your souls and so forth. And I was kind of like, I don't have time to play a game like that. Why would I want to play a game like that? Why would you want to sort of put yourself through that? And then I was just looking it up. I thought I got Demon Souls through PS Plus, but I was just looking up a list and it found out it didn't come out on Plus until 2013. And I remember playing it in 2010 because my son had just been born. And I can't remember, so I must have picked it up like cheaply in a sale or something like that. So I played about an hour of Demon Souls where I defeated the first boss. This is my experience. I defeated the first boss, like, okay, fine. Got to the next area, which had, you guys would know, it had a dragon like strafing a bridge. Like,
Oh yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
Flaming bridge. So I was like, okay, this is that's quite a cool set piece. Got past that, got to the end of the bridge, and then I got invaded, and I was like, okay, I barely know what I'm doing. This guy's just going to kill me. And then obviously this red invader comes down. He ran across the bridge. The dragon strafed him. He just walked through it. I was like, yeah, he's gonna wreck me. And he promptly did. No mercy, no quarter, no anything. And then on the way back to get my body, I died. And I was like, yeah, fuck this in the bin. What's the point? So I didn't. Yeah, so I didn't go back to it. I didn't touch Dark Souls 1 or 2, although obviously again I knew it's a big thing. I heard people talking about it. So then obviously moved forward quite a few years. I started at Sony. I was lucky enough to get Bloodborne through work when it came out. Obviously at work, there's a lot of other workmates who were talking about it. Similar experience. There's about 3 or 4 members of my team where none of us had played any of the Souls games properly, but we were like, yeah, let's give Bloodborne a decent crack at it. We all loved it. I don't know if that's to do the. We all like got hooked on the combat. We all thought it was it was much more faster and fluid than what we'd thought it would be. So yeah, I really enjoyed Bloodborne. Completed that. Didn't do I haven't done gone really deep. I didn't do any of the Chalice dungeons. I didn't do New Game Plus or anything like that. I was quite happy that I completed it. I kind of left it at that. And then obviously in an odd release schedule timing, Dark Souls: The Scholar of the First Sin came out on PS4 a few weeks after Bloodborne. It wasn't very long at all. So I picked it up. I hadn't touched it for at all. And then actually was talking to you guys. You just mentioned the fact, obviously, in the lead of Dark Souls 3, you're going to start playing Dark Souls 2 again. Well, in your case, CJ, you were talking about actually 100%ing the game. So I was like, oh yeah, I need to play that. So I've started playing Scholars First Sin. I'm not too far into it. I've just found I've just gone into the pit. I've done Black Gulch.
Okay, you're not doing too bad. You've got a couple of the big boys down, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've got 2 of the Lord Souls.
Lord Souls, yeah.
Yeah. I've still got 2
people.
So how did you find going from Bloodborne to Dark Souls 2? Because there were a few established outfitters that were saying people won't be able to move back from Bloodborne through to the Souls series, but I've kind of found that's really not the case from folks that I've spoken to, particularly streamers actually that have done that.
Yeah, I agree. There was a certain sense of trepidation because just again, I don't know why I had it in my head that Souls is quite slow paced. It's all sort of shield up. It's not the same as Bloodborne where you're dashing around shooting to interrupt, getting your health back by hitting people. And actually, it's nowhere near as bad as I had in my head. It's actually been quite enjoyable, the combat. I don't want to sound too much like Digital Foundry, because fuck Digital Foundry.
Yes.
But I do wonder if the fact that Scholar first is in 60 frames per second, I wonder if that's helped. I wonder if that means I just don't feel like it's as slow, maybe as like a slower pace as I thought. But I did go in with quite an aggressive build, which probably was a bit foolish. I went in with the swordsman,
Well,
wielding.
Yeah, you're dual wielding swords and haven't had a shield yet, have you?
No, I've never used a shield yet.
That's incredibly brave.
Yeah, but I'm really not great at Bloodborne, but when I went back to when I think it was the PS4 Scholar after, no, it might even have been on the Xbox One version as well. I did a more aggressive stance. That was the first point that I took a shield away and was two-handing a weapon and was really being more dangerous than I'd ever be. I mean, definitely kind of the play style that I normally attributed to Dave Klein in his videos. But found that I could
for your first run, would you have done that?
No, mind you, if I'd have played Bloodborne first, then maybe, because that instinct could have been there. I mean,
I think that was a large part
we
of it.
started with that demons thing of like everything is going to super fuck you. And I think that Scholar just allow you sort of different play styles in that regard. So
I think it's actually harder going back if you've already played a Souls game before. Like, if you've played them all fresh, I think you go in with a mindset, whereas I went back thinking, oh, I've done this before. It's easy. I'll just roll and roll and roll and, oh, where's my stamina?
Yeah, there is that.
I taught myself that I was good at Dark Souls rolling now, when it turns out I just incredibly gotten very bad at it.
So Gav, Bloodborne, what did you make of it?
Ooh.
Put it away.
Like, we've spoken about this before. I mean, I absolutely loved it. 1 second. Let me just put it away. There we go. Well, I mean, we spoke about this before, but yeah, absolutely obsessed with it, to be honest with you, to worrying degrees, to be honest, because when it came down to trying to get the platinum trophy by going through the Chalice dungeons and trying to kill some of the bosses on Defiled Chalice, where your health bar's half and pretty much all the bosses' moves can just one-shot you, it turned into a pretty weird, desperate obsession where I didn't want to be playing it, but I had to be playing it for completion's sake. But no, in general, absolutely loved it. Just was hooked instantly. The curveball of the story, which I won't go into too much detail in case people are listening to this and haven't, heard anything about that.
Thank you.
The way the story sort of morphed from what everybody was talking about pre-release into something completely different, which appealed to my interest more than the original angle. Absolutely besotted by it. Just could not get enough of it.
I can't believe they kept that shit secret for so long.
It's amazing when you look back, isn't it?
That's Raiden level secrets.
Yeah, it is.
Like, what? This game? It's not werewolf fun?
And just for me to argue the other side, like, I agree. I really liked the I don't know how to put it. The change. I'll say. But actually, on paper, I actually preferred it. The story beforehand. It's maybe because I'm not too familiar with the. I don't know. I'm trying to avoid spoilers. The other stories, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the style of narrative that it.
Yeah. So I vaguely understood it, but I was a bit like, I don't really know what's going on now, which actually is part of the point. But yeah.
But to be fair, neither am I really. Like, I've never read any of the genre that we're jumping around.
Yeah.
I know about that one guy, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, you see, as a moody teenage goth who painted his nails and wore Marilyn Manson hoodies to school, I was kind of, drawn to sort of that guy, shall we say? So,
as a moody adult goth.
Well, yeah, onwards and through moody adult goth, and adult man pretending not to be a goth. It's sort of to have that then thrust into the middle of a video game that I was already enjoying, created by a team whose games I was obsessed with, was just mind blowing. It was absolutely incredible.
Did you then move back to Scholar after that, or had you kind of touched on it beforehand?
Yeah, as soon as I platinum Bloodborne, I picked up Scholar and went straight back with, as you've all said, in a really aggressive build, because I was like, fuck it, I'm going to try. and up the stakes a bit, because I'd completed but Dark Souls 2 a few times after it came out with various different builds and stuff. So I thought I'm going to try something different. And I actually managed to complete the main game with no shield up to Nashandra, and that's when I backtracked to the DLC. About 3 enemies into the DLC, I was like, right, shield.
This is on the original, or this is on Scholar?
Sorry, this is on Scholar. So I completed the original in the normal ways. I did it with like a sword and board, completed it with like a more magic-based build, and then I messed about with other builds but didn't finish it. But yeah, on Scholar, after Bloodborne, I went much more aggressive, ditched the shield, and managed to get all the way through the game without using a shield. Stopped at Nashandra, and I thought, right, I'm leveled now to do the DLC areas. And as I say, 1 or 2 enemies into the first DLC area, I was like, right, I'm equipping the shield, because the difficulty level is just insane.
It's amazing. What did you make of the original sort of vanilla Dark Souls 2, and then your thoughts sort of on Scholars in that regard?
Well, I have a bit of a strange relationship with it, because I was really looking forward to it coming out, because obviously by this time I dipped into Dark Souls, finished it, became sort of obsessed with the whole thing. So I was super excited for Dark Souls 2, and when I was playing it, I absolutely loved it. I liked it that much, I actually started playing it with 2 consecutive builds at the same time. Like, I couldn't get enough of it. I was dipping in between 2 builds and sort of inching my way along through the game, and flicking between 2 different characters. I just could not get enough of it. Bought the guide and read it like a book. Just could not sort of drink it in enough. But then once I'd finished it and a bit of time had passed, it kind of left me feeling a bit odd about the whole thing, and I could never really put my finger on. Something just didn't click. And the more time passed and the more I thought back, I started to think, I don't know if I actually enjoyed that or not.
Do you think that was an independent thought, though, or do you think that was because of the general kind of distaste that sort of, I don't know, permeated the internet whenever it was mentioned? I
think it was certainly an independent thought, or at least a joint thought between myself and Gav Weir, who we started You Died, and it had a different name at the start, and we started that website purely to sort of chronicle us playing Dark Souls 2 and to sort of create maybe our own narratives branching out from that, because we both become sort of impressed by some of the stories that had been written about Dark Souls, and sort of that inspired us to start You Died. I can't actually remember what it was called originally.
Was it Depths of the Abyss?
That's it.
I remember.
More than I did. Yeah. But what we found is that after a few weeks, we just had nothing to say about the game. We just had. We assumed that we'd have all these wonderful stories to tell and almost chronicle it like a dual diary back and forth of experiencing things and discovering things and sort of working out things. But we just ran dry almost straight away. That's why it flipped into You Died. So we kept the reference with the name, but it became more just about general video game bullshit in general. But yeah, it was definitely independent, because the whole basis for starting a website, we just ran out of things to say almost straight away. So we were both kind of left feeling like a bit empty from the whole thing. But Scholar, I've struggled with Scholar at the start, as you might remember, because I was doing that write about one game every week for every week of the year thing, which I think I got to about week 28 and burned myself out on. But I struggled with Scholar initially, because I was sort of really sort of kicking back against the changes. I didn't like the changes in the enemy placement. I didn't like what they'd done with certain things, like the Hide Knights, for example, removing the Hide Knight from under that tree in the opening area. It was little things like that would just really piss me off. Just be like, don't move him, because he looked good, it was evocative, and now it's just a tree.
Plus he gave you that really good sword really early.
He did give you that really good sword, yeah. So I was just kind of kicking off about all these silly little things. But you, CJ, you were starting to really fall for it around the time that I was really struggling with it. And I almost sort of sacked it off a couple of times. But it was the DLC really that really clicked and sort of snapped the whole thing into focus, to be honest, because obviously there's a lot in the DLC that enhances the lore and the relationships between existing characters. Obviously all the additional stuff you get with Vendrick in the DLC, in the Scholar edition, the additional dialogue, and it really sort of binds the whole thing together. I've still got a few problems with it. I don't think I could say I'm 100%. There are certain areas in the game, certain bosses that I just really don't get along with. But yeah, on the whole, I think Scholar feels almost like the game it probably should have been.
Like
from the
Resi,
start.
when they remade Resi for the GameCube.
Yeah.
They changed
in a
it
similar way,
a
yeah.
bit. There's just a bit. Not all the way, but they changed it a bit.
Yeah.
So not twin snakes then, Paddy?
Oh!
Didn't.
I actually just pooed everywhere. Just literally everywhere. Oh.
So Pete, what are you making of Scholar then thus far? What would you say?
Obviously, like I said, I'm not that far into it. I said to you guys the other day when we were playing, I felt like, I must be about halfway through. Now you're about 20 to 25% through. I thought, oh, God, there's a lot more to crack through then. I'm probably enjoying it more than I thought I would. Like I said, I don't know what, because like CJ said, this is all like this hive mind idea that this is the weak link in the series.
The black sheep.
Yeah, the
Black
runs
Phantom.
the runs to the litter.
Yeah.
I kind of went in thinking like, and again with the thought in my head that like Souls is a slower paced game, so I wasn't going to enjoy it as much as Bloodborne. To now where I'm I'm even when I'm not playing, I'm thinking about wonder what's through here or where I need to go next, because it's definitely got like its hooks in me, and I'm definitely enjoying it more than I thought I would.
How are you finding the difference between? So I know you've trolleyed on. We did a few co-op sessions, didn't we?
Yeah.
I know you've trolleyed on. How are you finding the difference between when we were Team Extreme compared to solo Cleaves?
Not too bad. So you guys helped me out with quite a few of the early bosses, and I made the point that it's great. Like, I kind of want to touch on the multiplayer aspects of things, because in Bloodborne I completed the whole game solo, not as this is a testament of my skill, I'm shit at it. It was more the fact that I just couldn't get the online to work ever. I gather it's a lot better now. They've patched a lot of things, but genuinely, I remember I managed to summon what do you call it? A helper in once to help with Briatus, and he died straight away, so he was no help at all. So I did end up doing the whole thing game solo. So like in Scholar, it's so much easier.
And there's a surprising amount of people still playing as well, considering that the general opinion, and also Twitch is always packed with people that are PvPing or playing it for the first time, which surprises me pleasantly.
Yeah, so the god naming ring, whatever it's called, name engraved ring.
Yeah,
that's brilliant, because I've never had any problems with connecting with you two when we're on, and even when I don't have that, just when I'm human, I can see a lot. I usually see quite a few summon signs still lying around. And then there's little things like, I gather they were in Bloodborne, but I must be I went through the whole Bloodborne not even knowing. I like the NPC summons. I like the fact that you can obviously call on assistance if you need be.
There are a couple in Bloodborne, but they're hard to find.
Yeah, I genuinely went through the game not even realise. It wasn't until I finished the game that people were like, oh yeah, at certain messengers you can summon NPC help. And I didn't realise that at all. So yeah, you guys helped me over the early bosses. It's great laugh. I felt like it removed a lot of the challenge. Like,
I agree.
You helped the main ones like the Ruined Sentinels, which I hadn't seen before. Like, I have no idea how I would have handled that, especially without a shield.
You would have died.
Yeah,
No, I mean, I've seen people solo stuff in this game, which is just way beyond my ability. But like with the Ruined Sentinels, they have. I love the NPC summons to pieces in Scholar, but they do have two on the way to the Ruined Sentinels, literally round the corner and sort of in the cell just before the main fog door. So they do make it possible for people to do that sort of thing, which is nice. I just think it's a good way of giving people a bit of extra help without finalising and making it as easy as it is like with your mates, at least before the DLC kicks in.
Well, because I remember that wonderful moment we were playing and we were in Haid and we beat the old Dragon Slayer. And Pete goes, well, that was easy. It's like, oh, you know nothing.
So
You've never met this man before.
no, so Paddy, the story is I actually played him in my solo game as well, and
Okay.
he literally only hit me once with the opening like thrust of his spear, and then the rest of the fight he didn't hit me. So I was like, oh, this guy's really easy, and you're like going, yeah, and then you're trying to explain to me obviously the significance of this character.
Which I call real Ornstein.
Well, see, I don't know a huge amount of the lore, obviously, because I know nothing.
Oh, understandable. You don't know
nothing
what
about
you
Dark
haven't read.
Souls.
Yeah,
exactly. But I watched like a few lore videos just before we came on today, and I thought the general consensus was he's fake Ornstein.
No, we've talked about. I think he's real because Anor Londo is proven that the whole golden sunniness is an illusion,
It's a
and
mirage.
you break it and everything vanishes, including all the enemies. So I think the Ornstein of Smo and Anor Londo are fake, and I think the one here is the real one, who's really, really, really old.
Don't think that's the case.
Because he's the old Dragon Slayer. Not the Dragon
Yeah,
Slayer.
I did think
he's
that's
the
right.
old Dragon Slayer. That's my take. That's my take.
I
Anyway.
am interested to see somebody moving back through the games who will do Bloodborne, who will do Scholar, and that will just be a boss. And then they will get to Dark Souls, and they'll get to Anor Londo. They'll go through that fog door, and they'll go, "Fuck, it's you! And who's that?"
Oh, it's you.
Who's your mate?
I pissed you last time. Yeah, bring it on. I pissed you.
Yeah,
You were easy.
I really would love to see that on a Twitch stream. I just think it'd be ace. So,
And the thing
what
is-
would go on?
And I was just going to say, you guys have obviously been helping me with other things, well, not just the direct help, obviously, of having you guys helping out in the game. I mean, Paddy's helped me out a lot by sort of explaining a lot of the stats. So is it adaptability? Is that the rolling one?
A
Yeah, I
secret
had no
best stat in the
idea
game.
about that.
Yeah, that was like that's helped a lot because obviously, like I said, I don't have a shield, so I need to be able to roll through attacks as such. And then little things like the Dragon Rider. Again, I thought he was a really easy boss. I thought he was really simple. Again, it helps because you guys were there, and he can't really focus on more than like one guy at a time. But I didn't realize, for example, you kept pointing out the levers in the area to pull to make the arena bigger. I didn't realize that was what he was doing. If that makes sense. I didn't realize if you try go there without pulling a lever, there's obviously a tiny arena, and you're going to get like in trouble.
Well, no, you can do it because that's how I did it the first time. I missed all the levers and fought him on the tiniest platform, and somehow did it, and I don't know how.
I must say, I am disappointed he
go on.
didn't get on a dragon at any point.
Yeah,
I thought with the name of that, I was expecting him to hop on something at some point, but no.
And there's dragons everywhere.
I mean, I agree with what Gav was saying about the Hider Knight not being in Forest of the Fallen Giants, and plus, that sword took me a little way on before I got the Fire Longsword in my original playthrough. But that said, the point in Hades Tower of Flame where you defeat Dragon Rider and suddenly all of those fuckers get up, priceless, priceless. Because they're fighting start, and so many of them as well. It suddenly turns an area that in the original Dark Souls was pretty easy to get through. It suddenly adds a certain zing to it.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Because
see, I
that
just got
generally
greedy.
doesn't happen in games either, which is a touch that I really like.
No, I was just saying I just got greedy because there was one guarding a chest, so I was like, get out of my way. And then Paddy was like, no, don't do that, don't do that. Too late. Got everyone running after me.
What would you say? I'll start with you, Pete. What would you say your favourite moment or moments have been in the stuff that you've played in through either Blooders or Scholar or whichever?
Like I said, at the moment in Scholar, I've enjoyed the bosses. They obviously they felt a bit like some of them, because I don't necessarily understand the lore and why they're there. Like they seem like a bit of a who's who of like mythology creatures. So like you had a giant, you had a woman who's clearly meant to be like a Medusa type. You had obviously fire demons or whatever. It was when the one where you went, oh shit, when he appeared was the old Iron King. Because again, from the name, I was kind of maybe the image in my head was actually of like the Lord of Cinder in the Dark Souls 3 trailers, like that big giant who obviously has sort of flame aspects. I thought I had in my head that he was going to turn up like that, and it was this big fuck off like Balrog thing.
It's like he's emerging from a metal cover.
See, you say the old Iron King. Now I'm getting an image of the Iron Giant.
Yeah, that's because you need to.
That'd be a different.
Superman. Oh no.
So how did you get on with that fight? Did you did it throw you? Did you get knocked into the lava, or did you suss him quickly?
In the first 5 seconds, there's a slight hole in the platform you're on.
I was going to ask, did you fall in the stupid hole?
No, he knocked me in about the first 5 seconds. Like, we've
all done it, Pete, don't worry.
There's quite a useful NPC. Someone, he's the big archer.
Oh yeah,
he's quite useful.
Horror. My wife.
Yeah. So after that I did it fairly straightforward. He did burn me quite a few times, but no, he wasn't too bad. I think I was saying to you guys, I think because you've been helping out in co-op and I've been occasionally going to your games and helping out occasional bosses, I get the impression I'm quite over leveled for where the stage I'm at.
I think that's debatable. I think experience helps more than levels. I think. And you seem to have learned the fundamentals quite well. The fact you still haven't used the shield at this point on your first run, it still staggers me. I don't know how you've done it. I pushed out of that so early. I tried dual wielding swords at the start, and I was like, first level, like, nope, putting my shield back on. I need it. Well done.
I did the thing whereby if say I defeated the last giant, I just put my sign down over and over and over again. To help other folks out, and plus then take those souls back to Medulla and level up. So I was probably trying to push my skill level way above sort of what it naturally was by doing that, but which is something that I did in Dark Souls. Plus I turned that into Dark Souls aerobics, where I'd put my sign down and then I just start doing sit-ups until I was summoned. It was great. So yeah, it's that's something that I've always really liked about the Souls games, that people can really push on the difficulty, but you're not funneled through one particular difficulty level. You can approach that any way you want. You can spend as long as you want doing it, and the amount of variables that you've got to choose from with that are not only sort of great for your own game, but I think that's what makes it so interesting to look at the way the other people play it. It's like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. Oh, I've not tried that. Or, oh, you're doing that kind of build. And maybe from what I've heard, it's one of the main criticisms I think of Bloodborne in contrast, that build wise there's not as much variety.
So yeah, in Bloodborne I started off with Paddy's threaded cane sort of more dex build.
Yeah, boy.
But I did have to switch for Paddy's over popular sword.
Boo.
Unfortunately, I know. I was struggling. I was actually really struggling with the threaded cane. I had to find something a bit harder hitting, and then I went through the rest of the game with that.
Boo.
Whereas so far in Scholar, I've kept with the dual curve swords.
You can get some really tasty ones of those soon as well. Like some really cool looking ones.
I mentioned it the other day, but the old Iron King boss in New Game Plus, you've got an NPC Black Phantom that appears just as you go up the ladder before the bonfire that you tag before you go to the old Iron King, and the guy is tough as fuck, and you've got those fire breathing sort of ox heads that are on a spinny, and he will either dive for you or he will knock those, so instantly you've got spinning fire surrounding you before he does a massive sort of bunny leap towards you and tries to twat you. That lad is a bastard. And the amount of times that I swore like a trooper on that, just because he's so mobile, he's so devious, and the area that you have to fight him is a sod. So New Game Plus, you've got that to come.
I think the area you fight stuff is I think where the fun comes from. Like my favourite moments in Blooders and Scholar have always been the why are you here moments. Like, why are you here? No. In the bottom of the Lost Bastille, for instance, Flexile Sentry round 2.
Yeah,
I remember that because you just said, "Go on, walk forwards," go on, off you go, I'll follow you. And I walked in. I think I said a swear. I don't remember. All I remember is incoherent babbling and running. I think that was your fault. And then again in Blooders, in the old Hunters DLC, there's a cave you go down that has a lot of old Yharnam stuff in it. There's the guy with the machine gun, and there's some beast patients. You're like, oh, okay, what's in here? Going down here. Why is there a blood-starved beast in this tiny cave? Why? And he will aggro you forever.
Yeah, prepare to be chased across the map.
You literally cannot run from him. He will chase you everywhere. So if you're not ready, you are dead. And I was. So I did a suicide run in the end. I ran in, got the shit, and just said, right, I'm dead. Fine, I'll take it. I got the item. I don't care. But those are almost my favourites. Yeah, the why are you here? Why are you here?
What about yourself, Gav?
What favourite moments from
all of the Souls games?
From all of the Souls. Well, starting at Bloodborne. Well, there's not a bit of Bloodborne that I don't love, to be honest, but probably there's the bit where you discover the abandoned old workshop, which is the real life version of what you've come to know as the Hunter's Dream. So you discover this place that you know you only go to when you're dreaming in the real world, and there are some slightly strange and unsettling differences, and there's a number of items that you collect from there. That's the point, I think, where the game starts to tip towards the other narrative. And that's where you really... Well, I remember I certainly started to go, what the fuck? Because it all of a sudden didn't make sense. All of a sudden, these items I was finding and the descriptions on the items and the things I was seeing, I was like, this has nothing to do with werewolves or a plague or...
Blood.
Or blood. It all of a sudden felt really strange.
I remember pacing around the area. Like just walking. Yeah. I didn't run, I just paced.
Exactly the same. I remember exactly that. You walk through the tunnel and you push out into the actual open area, and I just walked as slow as possible because my brain was going, this isn't right. This isn't right. And then in the DLC, I don't want to spoil too much because obviously it is, even though it's the start of the DLC, it's probably considered like late game, but the fight with Ludwig, the transition in the middle, the weapon that he reveals, which is like the most perfect From Software, nod, like a fan service nod, and then the way the music changes as well.
I actually the first time that happened, I died as that kicked off, so I thought my death was what triggered it. Because it cuts back and I'm just going
cutscene even if you die.
It cuts back and I'm going on the floor.
Dark Souls 2, is it a cop out to pick a bit from the DLC? Probably, but it was Crown of the Old Iron King. That whole thing, Broom Tower, fighting your way through there, and then the fella at the bottom, Fume Knight, which is another one of those bosses, a bit like the stuff in the Defiled Chalice, where it almost crossed over into just me being pretty miserable, but like defiantly continuing to fight him to the point where I just stripped down to just my underwear and
in the game.
Two-hand in. Yeah, sure, in the game.
Okay.
And just dual hand, like two-handing the katana that I was using, the black steel katana, and just learn. When you learn a boss's moves down to the point where it's just natural.
I've watched your video on that, and it's brilliant.
Yeah. It's just you sort of learn it to the point where you're almost like you're floating out of your own body. Like you don't just make it through. You've not summoned in help, which is all fine. I mean, I've got no shame in summoning in help whatsoever. I do it all the time. Even now when I play Dark Souls for fun, I'll just summon in help if it's there, because why not?
Yeah.
But it's the moments when you defiantly just get a boss to the point where you're just almost going through the motions, but you're in like a zen-like state. That's where I got to with Fume Knight, which apparently From have like revealed some stats where it's like conclusively he's the hardest boss in Dark Souls 2 because of the amount of people that have died to him and the amount of people that have failed to kill him.
I can see that. Also, actually getting into that arena is a bastard.
The entire experience of just getting to him is a nightmare. And that the bit about Broom Tower as well, like which down the centre where you've got those enormous like hanging statues that act as the counterweight to the lift.
It's genius. You know what I mean? The whole of that level is genius, and probably the first true verticality that we've had in Souls game in that way. It's you can double back on yourself and second guess yourself, and then you find and that continues into very much into the Ivory DLC as well. That's
absolutely, yeah.
with that beast.
But Demon's Souls, possibly my favourite thing about that, and again it's late game stuff, so I'm going to be vague, but it's the kind of the switcheroo that it does with the final boss, where you really think you're leading to something which is going to be, you know, enormous and climactic, and it does something different. And I remember just standing there in that arena thinking, this can't be right, surely. And it gives you that strange deflated feeling, but not in a bad way, like an anticlimax that kind of feels right, feels bleak and depressing and empty, which is perfect.
Really
for the scenario
resonant, very unusual at the time, I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dark Souls, God, where do you start with Dark Souls? I think that my favourite thing now with Dark Souls is, like I say, I'll just play it now for fun. I think they were saying this on shout out to Chomp Chain Podcast, how you can get to a point with Dark Souls stuff where you can play it just almost in a relaxing way, because you can get so used to it and so familiar with it that it becomes not a stressful experience at all, but it almost becomes quite relaxing. And the opening areas of Dark Souls now, what I tend to do is I'll master key down through Valley of Drakes, run through the Valley of Drakes, up the elevator to like the base of Darkroot, grab the Grasskest shield, straight up to Andre, and the Gargoyles is my first boss.
Oh wow!
And so I just do it that way round, because I love that run all the way through, and just knowing like I'm running through areas that it took me hours to get to the first time round, and I'm there. I'm at the Gargoyles in 10 minutes, and it's like my first bonfire is Andre's bonfire.
Got the satisfaction, I suppose, of doing that as well, of being able just to glide through and going, yeah, like the warm fuzzies.
Yeah.
But do you remember exactly when that was first sort of revealed? I think it was EMB that showed that you could go that way around. You could actually not have anything to do with the dragon landing on the original bridge from when you came up from Firelink, because
you can skip
you
all
don't
these
trigger
set
it,
pieces.
And it's like, what? That's in there? How and why? How?
Yeah. It's incredible. Your first boss in the game could be Sif, if you wanted to. You can run through Darkroot Garden, up the enormous ladder next to the Hydra, past the stupid rolling cats, across the grass to Sif's door, and you can be there in 10 minutes. The fact that you can do that in that game is just no. I mean, I've thought about trying that. I've thought about having Sif as the first boss and just seeing if it's possible, but your HP is probably too low. I'm not good enough to avoid all those hits, so I probably wouldn't make it. But the fact that you can do that is my favourite thing about Dark Souls. You can
can we add
game
in a Sif regard that the way that if you don't go to that boss battle straight away and you go to Dark Souls DLC first and then you go to that battle, fuck off.
That cutscene is my favourite film of all time. It's incredible.
It's
the cutscene you get.
Jesus.
So yeah, there we go.
It's interesting you were saying about the end of Demons as well, because I guess there is a level of tragedy that's running through those games, not just from there, but the piano piece that plays over the Gwyn battle at the end of Dark Souls isn't an end of game battle piece of music. And now with at least with Scholar, you've got that running narrative with the Scholar, with stunning dialogue and also scaring the life out of you just before it's given.
Yeah, the first time it happened, when the bonfire explodes and he appears, I absolutely shit myself.
Every time.
I had no idea that was going to happen. I'd seen pictures of that character, but I didn't know how he appeared or when he appeared. So the first time that happened, I had no idea what was going on.
That has got me 3 times. I've seen it every 3 times. Like, poo everywhere. Like, get him up. What happened? I met him again. Because you're in that mode of like, I'm good, I'm safe, I'm going to go to a safe place now, everything is fine. Oh!
Yeah, they knew what they were doing there.
Dicks.
Right, and to veer us towards the Dark Souls 3 stuff, before really everybody else kicked in with their stuff, friend to the show, Sam Ahmed, did an absolutely stunning interview with Hidetaka Miyazaki for Vice. Absolutely stunning.
Jammy bastard.
Did he
do his voice?
I'd love it if he'd have done the voice.
Hello.
Yeah, And whilst I did consider reading the piece without Sayem's Miyazaki voice, it wouldn't really be the same.
No, not at all.
Doing it on here. But the thing that I loved about it was that Sayem brought himself to the conversation, and his personality brought something out in Hidetaka Miyazaki, and they're not just talking, you stock Dark Souls stuff or you stock From stuff. They end up talking about Kingsfield and what was it? Metal Wolf Chaos. Yeah, Metal Wolf Chaos. Which apparently there's interesting in bringing to the PC now. Which is, if you've not seen any footage of it, look it up on YouTube because it is just bonkers. But yeah, and Miyazaki sort of comes out and he talks about fond memories of a Togi myth of demons and how he'd quite like to bring that back. But also it veers into mecha stuff and how it might be nice to do a cross between fantasy and mecha, and they start talking about Vision of Escaflowne, which is one of my favourite ever animes, and it's an outstanding piece, and there are a lot of hot takes and on interviews that I've seen with Miyazaki previously that are just running through the stock bullshit, but saying brings something so wonderful to this conversation. And like I say, brings a side out in Miyazaki which is friendly, which is geeky, which is enthusiastic, and I think that's a real rarity. So go and have a look at it on Vice because it's awesome, and then look at Metal Wolf Chaos because it is just crazy. So yes, that's my first super nerd out. But yeah, so the rest of the media coverage sort of kicked in, and I was a little bit surprised, to be honest. There were lots of spoilers, like all over the place, and you can say that when you watch a piece of gameplay video of a game, maybe you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. But I remember when I went to I was writing for Plus XP, and I went to Namco and was given a few hours with Dark Souls 2, and we were told at that point by the PR from Bamco that if we veered towards a certain point, we weren't told where it was, we will be asked to turn around and come back, and they were keeping us away from the old Dragon Slayer at that point. They didn't want a connection to Dark Souls coming out. They wanted to keep that moment for everybody playing the game, which I thought was really cool. But because
some twant would have written an article about it, right?
Yeah, I do. I probably would have avoided it like myself, but it would have spoiled that gasp for everybody that was playing it. So to watch, I think it was the first thing that I went into blind was PlayStation Access, and there was a direct connection to Dark Souls in there that was just thrown out, and I was like, what? I was really shocked as to why somebody at Namco hadn't gone, right, you can film all of this, you can film the bosses, you can film the area, but clip that bit out, or don't put this in your footage, and just put that in the document. And I've skimmed over other stuff where there are references to previous games, and it's like, why are you putting that in there? You've got enough that you can show without that. Yeah, I mean, James Carter was saying that there were 10 mandatory bosses in Dark Souls 2, and they've already shown off 5 from Dark Souls 3 in the preview footage. So what? But I expect the stuff with the bosses and the areas and the early runs, because that's just stock stuff with games. But when you put in those direct links, I'd wonder how much good it's going to do, because I've seen odd bits crop up on Reddit where people are pointing out like, oh, don't look at the map of the game if you don't want any spoilers, or and like I say, there are more spoilers out there than I've seen, because I pulled back from things after that access vid. And I did notice on, I think it was a Kotaku article where I skimmed down, and they said almost jokingly, "Oh, and here's a reference to Dark Souls 2." So I did click on that because I wanted to see something in that regard that would connect to a game that I really love. But for most people, I know very much, and this happened with Bloodborne as well. These games are so special to them that they're going in like dark, no pun intended. They're just switching off from all media. Mm-hmm. And I want all these surprises to wash over me, to hit me. I want it to be within the moment when I'm playing the game. So if that is the majority of people playing Souls, the references that are there for everybody else are going to mean fuck all. So why are they in there? Why are Namco letting those specifics out? Because I don't know. At the very worst, you're going to get people, and I've seen this. I've seen mention of this tonight from Sean O'Brien, was saying that various bits have been screenshotted and put up on his Twitter, and I think this is the reason why Gary from Bonfireside Chat is just muting everything that even vaguely looks like it's going to be a Dark Souls 3 spoiler, and you, Paddy, were having a bit of a rage against
my YouTube is a goddamn minefield right now. It is awful, and they're just putting up spoilers as the text, like the description of the video with a thumbnail of a thing, and you see it and you're like, well, I've seen that now. Like, no warning, you can't shield yourself against it. It's like going, Soler says Umbasa, spoiler. Like, no,
that's not an actual spoiler, is it?
No, imagine though.
No.
I made the good blood guy do Umbasa and then flies away.
The one thing I did see from a screenshot, which I'm very proud of, I'm going to say it on a podcast so that nobody can fucking steal it from here. But there is, but we can wrap this under mechanics news, because we've always reported on mechanics.
Let me get the drill.
And because there in previous games there's been red phantoms and there's been blue phantoms, but there are now purple phantoms.
What?
Yeah.
Are they doing Mace Windu phantoms?
I don't know the reference. But I will put out there now that I will name them Vimt-Bros.
Oh, good God!
Oh dear.
Vimt-Bros. To people in America. To people in America, Vimto is a blackcurrant flavoured drink, and it sounds a bit like for some bros. I'm unapologetic. I'm having that out there. If that comes up anywhere else, I'm going to be like one of those cunting companies sweeping in on YouTube, like copyright claims. I'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm from Vimt-Bro International.
Vimt-Bro registered trademark. Fucking hell.
So yeah,
is that the title of this episode?
I don't know. It's pretty good.
It's a strong contender.
Yeah. I will share one other bit of mechanics news, which isn't a spoiler again, but I thought it was really good. That in the stress test and build that you saw, there was they brought back from Demon Souls sort of the mana, and you got your Estus, and you can now assign the amount that you've got to share between both of them, or if you say going along with a dex or a strength build and you're not using magic, you can take the flasks that would have been for mana and put them into Estus, so you can have extra Estus on the other side of it instead of using those, which I thought was kind of cool.
Neat. It's nice mechanics news.
Yeah, mechanics news. We've always done mechanics news.
I love mechanics news. That's my favourite bit.
I don't think that's that spoilery. So Danny O'Dwyer from GameSpot tweeted earlier, and this ties into what I was saying. The marketing cycle has all but ruined what was once an important part of playing a game for the first time, not knowing much about it.
I think, I'd agree with that totally. Like the fact that everyone's got to report everything now to kind of stay out there, and you've got to get people to read your website, and putting that sort of stuff out there makes people read your website, because I don't know about you, but personally, if I know there's stuff out there Like the other day, we were talking about the map thing. You said don't look at the map, and I'm like, well, now I want to fucking look at it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, I know there's something there now, and now I want to look, but I don't want to look. And you have to fight, your own personal battle against it. The fact that it's all now, like, do you want to go look for some spoilers? It's all there now, 5 weeks before it's out.
Yeah, I mean,
Go on,
it's angel and devil stuff, isn't it?
Honestly, it's like, there's magic in the box. Just open the box. Go on, open the box. Have a look in the box. It's a spider.
Because of the stuff that I have seen, it has kind of, even though I don't know much in the way of context, because I've gone like, oh, fucking hell, and then zipped away from it, knowing that it's there has perhaps given a tickle of excitement. The Dark Souls 2 stuff, definitely. Although apparently there's more Dark Souls 2 connections out there. But we always knew it was going to be a blend of both mythologies. But I'm just really surprised with some of the specifics that have been put out there a month before release, especially given as well that Bloodborne, nobody knew a fucking thing about it until release. Absolutely nothing. In fact, the only real piece of lore that anybody had beyond the trailers and reading into those, they ended up cutting out, and that was when Father Gascoigne said Umbasa, which they nixed.
Do you think it's because, I suppose, when the first few games were coming out, you know, they were sort of new and niche and they weren't big, whereas now, you know, for a given portion of the gamer population, people love Dark Souls, journalists love Dark Souls. We see articles about how Dark Souls saved my marriage every goddamn week. Like, do you think, like, traditional games media is getting a bit weird about Dark Souls?
It could be that they're pushing Bandai Namco for information. They're asking for this information, they're asking for this access, whereas before they probably wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And, you know, why would they say no? It's publicity.
Yeah. It feels to me like everyone's getting a bit weird about it. Like, websites are updating, like, fucking, what was it? Polygon on YouTube. 4 videos, an hour and a half worth of content up, like, immediately. Like, that's too much, surely.
Like you were saying, Paddy, you said it yesterday and you just said it now. When I saw your tweets after I'd done it, but when I got in from work yesterday, I opened up YouTube just to see what new videos were, and there was, like, 50 Dark Souls 3 videos on, like, my subscriber feed. And, like, some websites had uploaded 3 or 4. And they don't do that for any game.
Like, doing lore breakdowns. You've seen half an hour of it, and you're doing lore breakdowns. No, wait.
But
they have
me.
played 3 to 4 hours, as far as I understood him.
I still don't care. Don't start doing lore a month before we can
context.
Yeah, a month before we can even touch the damn thing.
To interject, there is context in those spoilers that they kicked out there, so it's not as if they're looking at the trailer and sort of trying to tie little bits together. Because let's face it, there was a bit in that opening video which kind of made a lot of us go, ooh, that looks like but yeah, there's a lot of context for them to monkey about within the stuff that's already been seen. So I think as to whether maybe that's the idea, that they've been given like free rein to try and knot all of this stuff together. I don't know.
But I think it is important to stress that, like you guys said, this is Bandai Namco doing this. You've got to remember this is the Bandai Namco that just published or just created an endless run of mobile game, Slashy Souls, which is like, I'm not even that precious about Dark Souls, but I'm like, what the fuck is that?
I thought that was a joke.
It did look like an April Fool's, didn't it? That initial Polygon announcement. I even said this looks like an April Fool's joke. It was bizarre.
And then, like you said, Bloodborne, obviously, it was more like directly controlled by From and Sony. It's just different marketing approach, isn't it? I think Bandai are definitely going for the oversaturation. And like CJ's already touched on it, it's kind of a strange one because CJ could say the link back to Dark Souls, and like at this point, I'd be really like, I don't know what that means. So it wouldn't mean anything. Whereas I don't feel like there's Dark Souls fans out there who would be like, oh, I'm not going to play Dark Souls 3, and then you hear this link, so, oh my god, that's amazing, now I'm going to play Dark Souls 3. You're pretty much going to play it anyway if you were that invested in if you knew the connection, you were that invested in the Dark Souls series.
On the stuff that I've seen, anyway. It's not as if it's they're doing it sort of anything other than like, oh, this is such and such from the first game, or this has importance from the first game on the second, because that is all there in those videos. So they're laying out a timeline for other games that people probably haven't got time to play if they've not played them before. So I don't know whether this is a level of aggression on Namco Bandai's part, because that, you know, From was swayed away towards Sony, and Sony made a really good job of the marketing of Bloodborne. It was a really big success for the console. As to whether this is Namco really aggressively going after those people, and just sort of trying to, you know, throw the kitchen sink in there to make sure that their game does well. Plus, it's, you know, with it being the last of the Dark Souls games as well, maybe it's just, you know, all in.
Do you think the fact that Scholar wasn't, or Dark Souls 2 and wasn't quite so well received at the time, you know, like you say, it was seen as the inferior of the two that came out around the same time. But they this is Namco saying, well, they were quite quiet about the links, weren't they? This isn't going, look, there are links, look, go on, get it, it's links, go on, you like this game, right?
But they were so quiet about that game, and if they were going to go after the Bloodborne market, they could have at least gone like, oh, if you like that, here's this, and this is what we've done to it, and it's massive, and we've got 60 frames per second, and it's 1080p. There's lots that they could have done to not necessarily go, our game is better than that one, but to go, oh, if you really enjoy that one, you should get this as well. You've got whole load of Soul stuff that you can delve into. They've still got the publishing rights to Demon's Souls, I think, in Europe, so they could have gone with that. There's lots they could have done, and so I don't know as to whether they've identified that as an error at the time, or whether there was just an agreement with From and Sony to sort of step back from it a little bit. I no idea, but
to move slightly aside, then I've got a question for you, Pete.
Yep.
As someone who isn't quite as attached to Souls as me and Gav and CJ are, have you been looking at all the pre-release stuff? Have you been looking at the trailer videos and the first half an hour stuff, that sort of thing? Have you been tempted to look at it?
I've been tempted. I haven't. I've only watched the official trailers. So I've not watched any of the coverage. I saw there was the embargo came up on Monday, and I saw all the stuff come out. But I've kind of deliberately not looked. I didn't look at any. You know, when there was the network tests earlier, there was some footage from there. I didn't watch any of that. And actually, what I wanted to ask you guys as well is that, although obviously Dark Souls and Bloodborne have similar like sort of DNA, they're obviously clear. Like, to me, they're clearly different games in you know, in the way they play and how they are. Like as bear in mind, I'm going through Dark Souls 2 now. In my head, I was thinking, Dark Souls 3 is going to be more like Dark Souls 2. I was actually really surprised by how much it looks like. The combat looks like, and even actually the setting, some of the environments look like Bloodborne. I don't know did anyone else think that? I was quite surprised by that.
It does seem to be a sort of a, not all the way, maybe like a hybrid of the two. Like I get sort of flavours of both sort of series. Bloodborne's only one game. I get flavours off of both IPs from Dark Souls 3, definitely. I mean, I watched a little bit of the beta stuff. I think the Law Hunter and Vader Van Oden and Jeremy Greer did a chat about it, like a 40-minute chat over Jeremy's play of it, and that was great, because that's, for me, like, that's just mechanics. Like, I can watch mechanics for a while. That's fine. Don't show me plot. Don't show me opening things. Just show me an area and show me how it works. Like, that's
I watched all the stress test stuff from like a lot of the PvP stuff that was captured, because, like you say, it's just you're analysing more the movement of the characters, the setting without the context, which is a big thing. It's a big difference between seeing an area and knowing what it means. So I felt like I could watch that network stress test stuff without fear of any spoilers. It was just people trying out a few weapons they were allowed to try, and just sort of seeing how characters moved and how environments.
This is how you play, as opposed to this is what you're going to go do. Like
exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out for the next week. Plus, we've a little bit later we've got a stupendous amount of feedback from people with regards to that sort of question. So yes. With regards to Dark Souls 3 pre-orders, so PSN, let me see, I brought up a little bit the other day. PSN's got, you get the digital soundtrack with it. If you live in the US, the soundtrack and the Fire Fades dynamic theme are the bonuses. Dynamic theme only comes when pre-ordering the deluxe edition in Europe, which is a little bit weird. The Xbox One Dark Souls, the original Dark Souls, is backwards compatible when you order it, which inspired a huge amount of hate online from PlayStation fans. Not like I'd really like that, but it's like, why are they getting it?
Oh, I saw it the other way as well. I saw some amazing comments which were like, I bet all those PlayStation fans who bought a PS4 for Bloodborne are feeling pretty silly right now. They got Bloodborne!
You got Bloodborne, mate. But that's the strange thing as well. Like, PlayStation fans have got Bloodborne. Why are you hating on this?
And do you know what? You can probably still play Dark Souls. You've probably still got your PS3. It's still there.
I don't know.
Fuck me. It's not like, right, Dark Souls doesn't work on anything anymore.
That internet. So elsewhere, there's still the standard edition. Have you got your orders in now for any of this stuff?
I've got the standard edition from the game collection for that £35. I'm not going any extra crap at the minute because frankly I've got too much of it at the moment. So I'm just going to go for the game, I think.
So yeah, the standard. There's the Apocalypse edition, which is exclusive to game, which is a steelbook cover and the soundtrack. The collectors with the patches and the art book and the Red Knight statue, and then there's the Prestige one that's sold out, which has got all of that plus the hand painted 300-foot statue that comes with it, which is about £300. So have you guys sort of pre-ordered yet, or where are you going for yours?
I haven't pre-ordered yet. I don't tend to bother pre-ordering because up until just recently I had a job where I was travelling all over the country, so I was always every day going to be passing by somewhere that would sell a game if a game had just come out that I could buy. But that's actually changed recently, and I'm currently not in a position to do that. So I'm actually considering, well, one thing I'm definitely doing is I'm going to get it digitally on Xbox One.
Ooh.
because I like the thought of, and it's going to get a bit silly now, so prepare for silliness. So I've got Scholar on PS4, but I own Dark Souls 1 on PS3 on disc, but digital on 360. So when it comes out backwards compatible, I'm going to have the first one on Xbox One. I own Scholar on PS4 disc, but I'm going to have to download Scholar on Xbox One digital and 3 digital, because I like the idea of having all 3 on Xbox One, ready to launch, no disc needed, just sitting right there on the dashboard. That appeals to me.
That is a good idea. And I will say as well, you know the streaming service, is it Waki? W-A-W-U-A-K-I? They're doing a thing at the minute whereby if you... they will give you £25 worth of Xbox credit for $17.99 plus some SD movie. I think it's like Fury.
Yeah, so you can make it work. So it's not,
so you can get it for a reasonable price. But yeah, that's always been something that's tempted me as well, as actually just having them there without having to get up and put a disc in.
Yeah, and then I'll be getting it for PS4 primarily. But at the minute, I'm sort of undecided as to whether I actually bother with the disc or just get it digitally, because like I say, I can't guarantee actually that I'm going to be able to go and buy that from somewhere on the day it comes out. And recently the last couple of times I've pre-ordered it on disc by the post, it's not panned out, and I can't imagine a world where I don't get that game the day it comes out. So again, I'm tempted to pre-order it on PSN, and then
that's
like effort involved.
What, £50, £55?
Yeah, but there are deals on PSN at the minute.
Exactly, you can get PSN credit for cheaper than what the value of it actually is.
But can you make it £35 though?
I think you can probably
can
match
I risk it
really
not
closely.
turning up on the day?
I think
I'm
you
okay
match that
with it.
really closely.
Yeah, I don't know. I
No, I know, and I
do you know what? There's your
don't
challenge.
know too.
Prove that.
Yeah,
next time.
I kind of don't know either. I'm not sure, but it's just the way I'm leaning at the minute is a digital thing, just because it would make it mean I can get it on day one without any hassle.
I think there's the thing for me as well that I liked on Xbox One Scholar being able to go to the achievements and see how close to completing an achievement I was, rather than having it or
It's
not.
a lovely feature, that.
Yeah, and there's a new update for preview members today, whereas rather than having to leave the game and go to kind of the game hub and see where your achievements are, you can now snap your achievements in while you're playing, so they can evolve as you go along. That's awesome. I like that very much indeed.
It's a lovely little console sidebar, CJ. It's a good little console.
I like it very much. Plus, when I'm really familiar with a game anyway, it's nice to kind of snap Twitch in at the other side of that and just kind of watch.
I was doing this the other day.
Yeah.
I was playing Rise of the Tomb Raider, going around collecting just collectibles, and I had WWE Network snapped to the sidebar, and half of me was watching Divas, and the other half was running around, which is a load of shit, but it's good. And the other half was running down the map on Tomb Raider, just picking up, ancient scrolls and listening to Lara mutter about how sad it all was. Perfect.
What about you, Pete? Have you pre-ordered Souls 3, or are you waiting until you finish Scholar?
I haven't pre-ordered it. I probably will get it when it comes out, fairly obviously digitally on PlayStation, because I'm biased as fuck.
You're among friends.
We've now grouped off and we're kissing on separate sofas.
Oh,
I've
got my hands down CJ's Xbox One pants. That was pretty good.
That's no pad.
Pete, come to me sofa.
I want to come to your cushions. Yeah, pad. Yeah, fucking hell.
Yeah, man.
But I will.
We've recently double stuffed them, so now they're extra plump.
Nice. But I will get the deluxe edition. I've heard nothing but positive things about both the Dark Souls 1 and 2 DLC. I've heard nothing but good things. So
Jesus, yeah.
Like CJ said, that they've got a good strike rate. I'm pretty, and even the old hunters as well. Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that the DLC will be a good quality.
Well, it's interesting that one of the other things that was brought up by GameSpot the other night was pre-ordering season passes and how empty most of those are, and how you're taking a shot in the dark. But with Souls stuff, they are really batting 2 for 2. So I don't doubt them with regards to this stuff. But with regards to buying Souls things, today I
what did you do now?
No, today I bought a game that I already owned 6 times. I bought the Japanese Dark Souls 2 Collector's Edition, which comes in a wooden box which is engraved, and inside contains an embossed leather art book to match the front of the box, and comes with metal shields and weapons, and also comes with like the game and the soundtrack and stuff. But I never thought I'd be able to get it, and I never thought I'd be able to afford it, but I saw it at a reduced price. I asked the lovely Guy Woodward, who is experienced within buying lots of JoJo stuff from Japan, what the import charges might be, and he found it for me at a cheaper price with a delivery guarantee that there would be no import charges. So it worked out around about the same price in the end, but it meant that I got no hidden costs for when it arrived. But it's cost me £80.
When I said earlier about people getting weird about Dark Souls.
Yeah, it's mind you, to be fair, this is like my favourite game ever, and it's a really nice sort of version of it, and it really is chuffing beautiful, and I'm really excited. Plus, I got a little bit of money for my birthday and for Christmas, which matches the amount that I paid for it, and I wanted to spend it on something that I really liked. So I'm really grateful. The guys helped to guide me through and push me towards a site that I'd not heard of before. But man, I'm so excited for it coming.
A quick tangent,
really
CJ.
Excited.
Did you guys see the limited edition strategy guide? Not
Yes.
the one with the Estus flask, which I actually... Which part of me is like, limited edition strategy guys is taking it a bit far, but the Estus flask looks really cool.
Yeah, I don't know if that's dumb or great.
But isn't it like £100?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's only
dumb.
on. I think it's only on Amazon US at the moment, though. Apparently, it is coming to the UK. I don't know. I kind of want that. I kind of want them. I kind of want them more than the statues.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a better thing because that's like you could have that on your shelf, and someone look at that and they just go, "Oh, it's a little vase," and you'd know. You'd be like, it's not a vase, it's from a video game.
And you drink
in your
it
face,
again.
mum. You thought I was classy. I'm not.
Amazon have reduced the other special edition of the strategy guide, whereas it's £20 everywhere else. It's £13.50 at the moment on there, and that's the one that comes with the Dark Souls journal, and it's got extra stuff in it, and it's hardcover. So
You shouldn't buy it now, though. You shouldn't buy it now.
With the EMB is not right in this one, so Epic Name-Bro wrote Dark Souls 2 and the Bloodborne one, or both of the Bloodborne ones with a German spy, but yeah, he's not doing this one, and it's Prima Games this time as opposed to Future. So
interesting to see how that turns out now that it's switched publishers.
Because Prima don't really have the best reputation for this sort of stuff. I'd love it if the head of Prima was a lady called Donna. ...
Good God.
Yeah, she's quite stroppy. But yeah, in other Dark Souls 2 stuff, I got the Dark Souls 2 design works.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really tempted to pick that up, actually.
I've had a flick through my pal Sean's.
It's beautiful.
It's alright, isn't it?
I had a special moment with it when it arrived. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to open that now. So I finished work one day and in sort of the afternoon, and I went home and I got changed and I put it into my bag, and I went and got a 4-shot whole milk cinnamon latte, and sort of I might have had 5 shots that day. Yeah, it was nice. And I sat down and I sort of unsealed this massive book in a coffee shop, looking like I was about to start telling people stories, and then just slowly turned a page and devoured it. The art is stunning, really, really beautiful, and it was nice to see the intricacies of the designs from a game that I genuinely adore, but also it's got little notes from the design team as well, where they said, there were some options where pieces of beautiful art, but when they put them into the game, they didn't work because there wasn't really that much to do or that many places to go. Drangleic Castle was one. They explained that Hyde's Tower of Flame used to just be a run through to No Man's Wharf. It was, and then they turned it into an area late on, and that runs through the entire book. And then towards the back, you've got an interview with Mr. Tanamura and the design team as well, talking about all the changes and the things that they had to do, and the way it was that the game was broken, and the way that they put things back together, and their regrets. And it's a beautiful work, and it was going to be coming out, I think, last July, and it's only just come out, but it's twice the size of the original Dark Souls design works. It's sort of 250 odd pages. It's beautiful, very, very nice indeed. I'd recommend it.
I am going to borrow my pal Sean's.
Yeah, do it, and just spend a bit of time. Don't flick through it quickly. Just really devour those designs and the ongoing conversation, because it's fascinating. And the interview's wonderful at the end. Really, really good.
Nice.
Manom.
Tasty book.
Yes, indeed. Shall we move on to the feedback that we've got?
Let's do Twitter, because it is an unspecified time in the evening.
Yes.
Don't break the magic.
Right.
Don't reveal behind the curtain.
Don't tell anyone it's 11:15. Oh!
AM. Could be AM.
I'll edit that in post, and I will totally remember to edit this later.
Right then, so we've got Paddy, you might want to bring up the emails as well, because I'm not going to read all the Twitter and all of the emails, otherwise it'll be
okay. You start talking. I'm going to try and remember what the password is. What was the password?
Oh, Patrick.
It's alright. Go!
Right, okay. Philip Urs says, I read the Polygon Everything We Know from Playing the First 4 Hours article and wish I hadn't. Dark from here on out. Ryan the Righteous, Ryan Cornez, says, yeah, I've placed myself on media blackout as a result of that. Sony Boy says, trying to stay unspoiled but peeking a little bit here and there. You only get one first playthrough.
Yes. God, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. That's what I think. You only get to do this stuff like the first time once. Don't spoil it.
Thugs says, definitely going in blind. The only thing I know is that Lobos Jr. said it was better than Dark Souls 2. Not that I disliked Dark Souls 2.
Okay.
Pierre Creates, which is one of my favourite Twitch channels. I love Pierre to pieces. He's lovely.
Plug.
Yeah, forever in a day.
Yep.
Because he's a genuine gentleman. He said he's trying his best to go in completely blind. Pico Runland or Runland.
I think it's Runland because there's an exclamation mark.
Yeah, there's Pico. Says my favourite Souls game is Dark Souls 2, and I didn't really like Bloodborne. There are not many of us out there. Coffee Jesus, maybe. Do you think there's a risk of being too similar to Blooders and therefore letting us Dark Souls 2 fanatics down? Also, they seem to go back to a Dark Souls 1 feel in some ways. Do you think some Dark Souls 2 feely things will remain? Love and Souls, Emil.
I think I was just thinking about this earlier. I think it's Final Fantasy. There's bones between them all, but they're all different.
I think this is probably being a little more obvious with those connections with it sort of tying the Pretty Pink Bow.
From the small amount we've seen, I'm not worried.
Chilephobie, who is a person who frequents April Ultima's Twitch channel and is fabulous, as is April. Go visit them.
Plug.
Yep. Said hi. Oh, this is a little side question here. Hi, what would you guys like to see in Dark Souls 3? Things from the older Dark Souls and new ones, weapons, places, enemies. I saw a few things, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to what the entire game is going to show us, but I couldn't resist temptation. So, opening that up, what would you like to see in Dark Souls 3?
Fist weapons.
Well, the what?
Fist weapons. You get a cestus for like 3/4 of the game, and then you'll maybe find something else. More fist weapons, because I really enjoy punching shit.
Fist edition,
yeah, like some big stupid fist ones. Like the claws, they were fun, but like more of them. Like not 1,700 straight swords. Give me some more fists.
Well, the one thing that I'm just going to
out of
context.
Yep.
I'm just going to sidestep fist chat there. The one thing, and I'm not going to say what it is again, because if people are trying to go completely blind and they listen to this where we've been slagging off spoilers and then I go and say one, I'm not going to do that. But there's one particular place that prior to finding out that it exists, I was thinking, God, if they put that in, if they somehow include that or weave that in, and you end up walking through an area and you stumble across this and the location text pops up on screen, then that would just be almost too much. And it turns out it is in there, kind of revealed in a bit of a spoilery way. So the thing I wanted to see, I know is definitely there. So it can only make me think, God, what else is in there?
If this is the freebie, what are you paying for?
Yeah, exactly.
You dirty hooker.
Pete?
You can tell it's getting late.
Yeah.
It's definitely, it's definitely a PG podcast.
Mr. Cleves.
I'm not sure, because again, I'm not sure what to expect. If that makes sense.
You can say like swords. That is a valid answer.
I'm pretty confident they're going to have swords.
Okay. Bold prediction.
Yeah. Swords. Yeah, maybe a few shields. Not that I use them.
The dual
No.
free thinking.
What about
radical.
some armour? I hope there's some armour in there.
Yeah,
Might be
maybe.
I hope there's a few nice coats.
I wonder if in
that's real. I do hope there's some nice coats.
I wonder if in a Bloodborne style, there's a twist in the story further down, which is maybe part of the reason they're doing all of this, or revealing so much at the beginning. I don't know.
Ooh.
I wonder. I don't because again I don't know enough of the lore to suggest what enough that would be, but Yeah.
I like the way you work it. Sean O'Brien from Kingdom Rins.
Plug.
Says that the amount of spoilers I've seen has been infuriating. It would have been nice to have some of that stuff as a surprise. And went on, like say, to mention that Twitter mentioned screenshots and the like have been smashing around his timeline. Gary Deaton from Chat Very Good says, I watched Varty's first part of his playthrough for a taster of it and a bit of knowledge. We'll leave it at that. Now very excited.
Okay.
Guy Woodward, Nightmare Mode Go, says, almost completely dark. Seen one or two small clips of what I assume are bosses, but totally blind otherwise. Jimmy Robinson, the Duke of Jam, says, I've seen everything there is out there and I'm now regretting that slightly. Still hyped though.
Ooh.
Brad Galloway of Game Critics says, I am going completely dark. Somebody called Gav Weir, Mr. Russell. Have you heard of such a reprobate?
He sounds like a cunt to me.
I think so. I would kiss him in front of you and test that reaction. Gav Weir says, I started out watching the few gameplay vids released, but I'm totally out now. Too close to release to have a potential plot point stroke story stroke character or location name revealed. The anticipation might kill me. Brad Galloway comes back to say the only thing I saw was the brief demo at PAX, otherwise full dark. Shimmy, who I believe is a new correspondent to us,
Hi.
said, I am just a weak skeleton. I have watched Lobos, Peeves, Varty and Ouroboros. Fair enough, mate.
I love that. It's just completely caved.
Yeah,
and watched it
all of it.
Brilliant.
I don't want to be doing this all. Look, that's nice.
Put it in my blood.
Yeah, I can't say I blame you. I'm angel and devil at this point.
It's hard to resist.
Dino Velvet says, it's the first time I've ever NG plussed a podcast. I'm glad they didn't stick with the name Padcoff. So that regarding us before we became Twin Humanities.
I still feel bad about that name.
Yeah. To which Pico says, I missed the old intro theme tune though, and the Dark Souls bakery with Marjorie. We'll see. Death Note Clifford from the Dark Insight podcast says,
Plug.
a bit of both, to be honest. I have zero willpower, but definitely wish I'd saved the stuff I'd seen till I played it. So Namco, we're seeing sort of a
lot of
connection
regret
between these. Vader Van Odin from Dark's Inside podcast.
Plug.
Yep. Says, trying to go dark, but the whole world is against me. Another weak skeleton.
So many weak skeleton babbies.
Lachlan McDonald says, I know literally nothing about it. It's going to be very hard to avoid learning stuff before release, and March 24th, when it comes out in Japan, is going to be the end of the world, isn't it?
It's going to be a bad couple of weeks.
Clifford was saying earlier on DM that there's already endgame spoilers out there.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Paul Rooney, Silent Hitoshura, says, I've not seen a thing and I'm keeping it that way. Don't think 3 will be amazing, but still very psyched. To which Sean says, there's at least one really huge spoiler out there, so keep on the course you're on.
Damn.
John Kinney 999 says, going in as blind as possible, but fuck me, the media aren't making it easy. Spoilers, huge ones, are everywhere. And then Gwen Stefani, Chris Mosher, Shaboy, said,
Shaboy.
said, I watched the most recent trailer to add to my excitement, otherwise going in blind. It's Dark Souls, we're all going to love it. As a follow-up, I remember when the first footage was released and not even bothering to look, just, yep, that's for me, thanks.
I love Chris.
And then Revitar, video game art dog, It says, I'm going in dark and oily. I don't know if
Ooh.
that was meant for us or
Ooh.
somebody else.
Slight plug while we're on him. Video game art dog Avatar. While we're
That's why
grabbing
he's
his
going in dark and
oily
oily.
he has also just started a podcast called We're Not Wizards, which is about board games, and it's really, really good. If you like board games, listen to it. It's really good, and he's a lovely man. And he made my Twitter avatar. He's a lovely man.
He is, and we will retweet him every time he has a new show.
At We're Not Wizards, plug.
Right, so we'll move on to the emails. If you want to...
Oh, shit, do I have to use my words now?
If you want to read Hans, and just call him Hans, please.
I will just call him Hans for no reason. Okay, he's from Germany. Do I put an accent on it?
No.
G'day! No, I'm not doing that.
Party guest appearance.
Okay, hi, greetings from Germany. I'm a little bit divided about the media blowout. I couldn't just look away this time. After having seen many videos, I think watching the first hour of the game won't really hurt the experience much. I watched countless Bloodborne videos before actually playing it for the first time, and poof! The moment I made my first steps into Yharnam, everything I had seen in those evil playthroughs was forgotten immediately. Evil. Good word. Having a controller in your hand and almost living the experience is a completely different beast. On the other hand, I know some Dark Souls 3 stuff now that definitely would have pleasantly surprised me had I discovered it for myself in the early game. From now on, I'll ignore any media, because if I give in, I tend to analyse every single frame. Will I be strong enough? Sad emoticon. One thing I can spoil for you, design-wise, this game looks damn beautiful. Those vistas, the perfect realisation of everything Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1 promised. I cannot wait to get my hands on it and become the director and cinematographer of my own Epic Souls documentary. Smiley emoticon. Why has it only got to be 1 more month? Uarg! I think I said that right. Have an awesome night, guys. Love your podcast. We love you too. Thanks.
Hey, thank you. Let me see. The Law Hunter.
Sinawoo.
Sinawoo. It says, Scholars, when it comes to Dark Souls 3 spoilers, I haven't looked at anything past the network test, with the exception of the opening cinematic trailer. My reason for avoiding and watching the content I have was put very eloquently by our mutual friend Vader Van Odin in the recent special we did, where he talked about spoilers becoming these checkboxes in his head that you pull out of the experience as you look for them. I spoiled myself for Bloodborne, and that is exactly what happened. Big boss reveals went from moment of horror and wonder and became, there you are, Ebby, looking as Cthulhu as ever, as I see. I don't want that to be the case with Dark Souls 3. I want the story to wrap me up and carry me away to a land of possibilities. I did watch the opening cinematic, however, because it'll literally be the first bit that you see upon starting the game. It is a spoiler in some sense, but in other ways it's not, because something shown at the beginning cannot spoil anything that comes after it. Basically, I've played 3 minutes of Dark Souls. Woot! As far as the level of spoilers go, time may prove me a sheep-like fanboy, but I have faith in From. They handle Bloodborne and the previous Souls games excellently, and I imagine they are approaching Dark Souls 3 with the same careful touch. They have been careful to hide the good secrets previously, so I will put faith in them to do the same here. Perhaps it is the somewhat familiar nature of the revealed content that makes the revealed information more, revealing. Either way, I have not pursued it, so I can't be certain if what I'm saying bears any truth. But I don't think From is the type of company that does anything without a purpose, and I look forward to seeing Miyazaki's grand scheme unfold. But I still urge those who are on the verge of stepping into the light of spoilers to reconsider and instead embrace the darkness.
There's some definite truth there, isn't there?
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Definite truth in there.
There is wise in that law.
About From having a plan. As scary as it is, they do have a plan, but yeah.
But as to whether they're in charge of that plan this time, or as to whether
because Namco are sitting on it, aren't they?
It's Bamco, you don't know.
That's true, isn't it? Bamco, isn't it? Thanks, Sinawoo. You may be the law hunter everywhere now, but you'll always be Sinawoo to us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next up from Alex Fusil. Hello, guys. Hi. I am taking in the Dark Souls 3 content. While I do think there is something to be said about going into a game you know you're going to enjoy completely blind, I can't look away from Dark Souls 3. So far, from what I've seen and heard, it looks like something I'm going to really love. The world design in the promo material seems top-notch. Enemies look terrifying but beautiful, and a couple of boss fights look incredible. While I don't want to sully anyone's pure, untouched playthrough, I don't think there is much in there in the way of game-ruining spoilers. That's the one real dissenting opinion on that one so far. The great thing about a Souls game is the environmental storytelling and piecing together fragments of lore, things that can only be done by digging deep into the game and experiencing it. And while there have been some things addressed in the promotional material, I see them more as setting a scene rather than full-on spoilers. Keep up the good works. Umbasa from Alex the Alabaster Mage. Oh, I know you now. Oh, I recognise your name now. Yes.
Yes, he's my tokusatsu bro.
Is that the first person we've had that has watched it and is okay with them?
Yes.
Wow. I don't know. I still can't put myself in a head where watching them is okay, and maybe that's me. I don't know about you guys.
I will open that up to the floor. The floor has died.
I think less is more, personally.
What was the question?
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Sorry, that obviously goes to my speech pattern as well. I'm surprised more companies don't go the Rockstar route with like the GTA games. Bear in mind that like essentially the GTA stories aren't nearly as important to the game as say the Dark Souls stuff is. I'd say like they, Rockstar are known for kind of like just drip feeding small things, so like they have quite short trailers, they don't really show anything major, but it gets that sort of level of hype anticipation, whereas like I said, this sort of oversaturation just seems a bit much. And it doesn't really, I don't know, I don't see how it would convert people who aren't into Dark Souls already, or do any, and then if people were into Dark Souls already, I kind of feel like they would have been into it anyway, with regardless of these additional details coming out.
Yeah, I think personally it kind of depends on the game, I suppose. Really, like maybe I'm thinking that because I'm possibly a bit precious about this particular thing, but I think that mystery is such a big part of this whole series that knowing anything before you go in, if you've got any investment in it, could potentially spoil it. But then on the flip side, like recent example, I watched the first 15 minutes. I mean, it turns out this game is shit anyway, but Far Cry Primal, I watched the first 15 minutes that Eurogamer posted, and that's what sold me. I watched that 15 minutes and I thought, that looks fun. I like Far Cry, I like the world they normally create, so I'm going to buy that. So I bought it based on that. So in that case, less isn't more, because seeing that made me think, okay, that was pretty good. But I just think it depends. But certainly with Dark Souls, I just think knowing too much is, what's the point in finding all that out beforehand? But then if you're not as precious, it might be the deciding factor in you getting on board. So
there was a funny thing on Danny O'Dwyer's Twitter earlier, where he was talking about the amount that is shown off by the media, and he says just look at Fallout 4. Bethesda barely showed us anything of that, and then somebody cropped up underneath, they had, I wouldn't have bought it. Which did make me chuckle. Right, so our last piece of correspondence from the wonderful Jeremy Greer, now from the Dark Souls Insight. Why am I calling it Dark Souls Insight? I don't know. It's late.
It is. From the Dark Insight podcast. Plug. Congratulations on your new position, Jeremy.
Yes. Also,
recently.
Congrats on the new job.
Also, Dark Souls haters Tumblr.
Oh yeah. Plug.
Yeah. Anyway, shut up.
Hello, not EC on YouTube.
Shut up. Hello, my fine fellows.
Shut up.
Solera's the last boss. Joke. I'm the worst.
Hate
I've
mail.
been surprised at how, given it's Jeremy Maguire, I should be. I've been surprised at how much Dark Souls.
I love his voice.
I love his voice too. I was
Yeah.
about to say that at the same time, but I need to
Bamco.
breathe.
You should read audiobooks.
Yeah.
So relaxing.
Oh.
Harry Potter found his way back to Hogwarts. I don't know why I'm doing this. It's late. Right. Let's try this again. I've been surprised by how much of Dark Souls 3 Bamco is putting out there for the public. Between this, the silly iOS endless runner, and all the general "it's so hard it'll kill you over and over" marketing, I feel like they don't really know why Dark Souls resonates with its fans. I spend a lot of time talking with people about Souls games, and hardly any of them like Souls because it's difficult, and a majority of them treat a new release as something special, something to be explored, something to be cherished. To quote Gary from Bonfireside Chat, who knows how many more of these I'll get. I've been reading up on the new mechanics, the new areas, the weapons and the NPCs. I started watching Varty's first DS3 video and realised about 5 minutes in that it was just too much. Knowing that a weapon exists is fine for me. Hearing NPC conversations in the hub area isn't. I don't blame Varty for that. His entire business relies on new content, and he's in the position to get that content directly from the publisher. Yesterday, the latest embargo broke. I was asking myself what purpose it serves to release all this footage and info at this point. Is anyone going to be looking at one of Peeve's videos and then decide, yes, now that I can confirm the existence of a straight sword, I'm going to pre-order the game? Surely not.
Well, Pete will now.
Then I spent the day watching an endless series of tweets, forum posts, Slack conversations and IRC chatter about this game. This is what they wanted, right? For the whole internet to talk about Dark Souls 3 for a week. I respect that as a business decision, but as a fan of the series, I wish they understood the product a bit better. It's the mystery, not the difficulty. Sorry this is a bit rambly. These thoughts have been kicking around over the last couple of days, and I'm not entirely sure I've sorted them all out for myself yet. Cheers, Jeremy Greer. Actually, in that email, he said in a more succinct and eloquent way what we've been trying to for the last fucking 2 hours.
Yes, it's fucking dead on. Like,
A round of applause, please, for Jeremy Greer. And on that usurping note, we will. We've got a late one from Jordan Scott, True Volk. The last few games, I ate up every bit of coverage. I knew everything I could. I want to start fresh this time and go in dark. So, right under the finish line.
right.
So, I will say thank you very much to Mr. Gav Russell.
It's your boy.
Gav, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
No.
Daddy.
Nice.
I cohabit a part of the internet, youdied.co.uk, with a friend of mine also called Gav, confusingly.
You've got a book coming out, haven't you?
Yes. Me and Keza
It's your
McDonald
boy.
are writing that. It's your boy. So come there if you'd like to see very sporadically uploaded content, and follow me on Twitter at Tight to the Nail.
And Mr. Cleves, thank you very much for joining us. I've really enjoyed this group hugversation.
No, thank you for having me. Yeah, I need to
Conversation.
crack on with
Vimt-Bros.
Scholar, get it done in a month or so, and then
Do you have anything you'd like to plug?
I don't inhabit any part of the internet.
The PSN, maybe? Just plug the PSN.
Yeah,
Sony?
Yeah, plug Sony.
Plug Sony.
I feel for the neutrality of this podcast. I'll stay silent because everyone knows PlayStation's better anyway.
Yay! Boy! I have two things I need to plug before we finish as well, very, very quickly. Firstly, I was invited along onto the wonderful Cane and Rinse Sound of Play podcast last week. I got 5 songs this time, and I had a lot of fun with Leon. So go along to Cane and Rinse and find the new Sound of Play and listen to that, because it was really, really fun, and I think I picked some nice songs. And secondly, I'm playing all the Zelda games at the minute, and I'm writing about them. And the first 2 of those are up on playingitwrong.co.uk. And my Zelda 2 article is more about me than the game. So please read it, because it was a lot of fun to write.
It's really good. It is very good. Oh yeah, Playing It Wrong. I write a little bit for there as well, so go there. That's a good website.
Plug success.
I will plug that I'm having an operation just before Dark Souls 3. So where I'm being sliced up by a doctor that I've met twice and genuinely fear. So expect your Dark Souls 3 coverage to have a dewy romanticism as I fall into the wonderment of the game through the prism of world-class drugs. And if that doesn't bring you back...
How are you enjoying it, CJ? I fell down.
No, I'm looking forward to that. Literally. To stop myself moving and wanting to cry. But yeah, so that should be fun. But I've enjoyed this. It's been a good natter. It's been on the fly. But what a fly. What a fly. What a fly. What a... We should have ended this a little while ago. Bye.
Bye.